The first thing anyone perceived about a camel was its light. Not just reflected light, but emitted light. A camel was not a single, solid being, but rather a collective of thousands, sometimes millions, of symbiotic, crystalline motes, each no larger than a human thumbnail. These motes, individually called lamina, constantly shifted, coalesced, and flowed, forming a larger, vaguely humanoid silhouette that shimmered with an internal, biological luminescence. Their homeworld, Xylos, was a world of perpetual twilight, bathed in the soft, multi-hued glows of its flora and fauna, and most prominently, its sentient inhabitants. Every camel was a living, breathing, feeling light sculpture. Their language was not sound, but chromatic resonance. A cascade of verdant greens indicated contentment or agreement. A ripple of deep indigo meant curiosity or contemplation. A startling flash of fiery orange marked alarm or urgent warning. Their most complex expressions involved intricate, shifting patterns of multiple colors, like a living kaleidoscope of thought. When the Terran exploration vessel Odyssey first entered Xylos' system, its radio waves, intended as a greeting, were met with profound silence. It was only when a scout shuttle descended through the moon-drenched atmosphere that the camel revealed themselves. Dr. Aries Thorne, the Odyssey's xenolinguist, pressed his face against the viewport. Below, on a vast, flat plain of iridescent moss, stood an assembly of camel. They were perhaps 3 meters tall, their forms constantly in flux, flowing like liquid glass. As the shuttle approached, their collective glow shifted from a placid, deep blue-green to a pulsating spectrum of yellows and mauves, the camel equivalent of observation mixed with uncertainty. "They're beautiful," whispered Commander Eva Rostova, awestruck. "And utterly alien." First contact was a challenge unlike any humanity had faced. How do you communicate with beings who perceive vibration as a crude rumble, who have no mouths, no ears, no discernible sensory organs beyond their light-sensitive motes? Aries Thorne, a man of infinite patience and a lifelong fascination with the nuances of communication, spent weeks in a sealed observation chamber, his every movement and micro-expression recorded, then translated into custom-programmed light sequences projected onto a large camel-designed screen. He learned to interpret their chromatic responses, not just intellectually, but intuitively. One breakthrough came during a simulated crisis. A minor electrical short in the chamber caused a brief power surge. For a moment, Aries felt a jolt of panic. Immediately, the camel monitor before him flared with a violent, pulsating scarlet, accompanied by sharp, disorienting flashes of white. It was the camel equivalent of a scream. Aries, startled, instinctively covered his mouth, a gesture of surprise and remorse. He then slowly, deliberately, relaxed his posture, took a deep breath, and projected a calming, steady emerald green onto his screen. The scarlet on the monitor subsided, replaced by a questioning indigo, then a soft, understanding violet. They had perceived his fear and then his deliberate attempt at calm. They understood the intent behind the color. The greatest revelation, however, came from the camel themselves. One day, a single, magnificent camel, identifying itself through a complex, shimmering pattern as Kalen, approached the observation barrier. Kalen's form was more fluid and intricate than others, constantly weaving new patterns into its shifting surface. Kalen began to project a series of colors onto the barrier, mirroring Aries' earlier emotional states. A flash of playful yellow, then a ripple of thoughtful indigo, followed by a steady, comforting green. It wasn't just imitation, it was a demonstration of empathy, an understanding of the human emotional spectrum, translated into their own light language. Then, Kalen did something extraordinary. It projected a faint, complex pattern of blues and silvers, swirling around a central core of gentle gold. Aries, focusing intently, felt a strange, profound resonance. It was a feeling he recognized, yet one he couldn't put into words, a blend of deep curiosity, quiet joy, and a yearning for connection. It was the camel equivalent of asking, "Who are you, truly?" Aries, without thinking, reached out his hand, palm open towards the light being. He didn't expect a physical touch, but a chromatic one. Kalen's light motes at the hand of its form solidified slightly, and then projected a gentle, warm golden light that flowed across the barrier, bathing Ares's outstretched hand in a soft, ethereal glow. It was not a handshake, but a chromatic embrace. A silent, luminous conversation that transcended language barriers and biological differences. In that moment, humanity understood that the Kamnal communicated not just with light, but with the very essence of their being, their emotions, made visible, tangible, and universally comprehensible. The first true contact, in a galaxy of countless stars, had been made, not with words, but with a shared spectrum of feeling.